Hello, this is the third in our series of thoughts on that arise from the Black Lives Matter movement. Today we're going to look at the legacy of history. Slavery was abolished nearly 200 years ago, the slave trade more than 200 years ago. What possible responsibility do you and I bear for what happened so long ago? Well, the answer is that we bear no personal guilt for what our ancestors may have done. But there is a legacy that continues because of what happened so long ago. It is appalling that 7 generations or so after the abolition of slavery, those of Afro-Caribbean descent are still disadvantaged in our own society, still more liable to be picked up by the police for stop and search, liable to be imprisoned, less likely to get a good education. Now, it's true that some from that descent have been very successful, but they've tended to be twice as clever and 3 times as hardworking to get there. But what I want to look at today is not so much the legacy of disadvantage, but the opposite, the legacy of privilege. Because in a sense, that's my own perspective coming from a white and reasonably well-educated background. What is it that I am privileged with? Our society is constructed in such a way as not only that there is such a thing as privilege, but that privilege is perpetuated and perpetuated from generation to generation. Those with wealth tend to find that the laws of our country and the way that the economy is constructed will preserve their wealth. If you take 2 families who both need housing of, say, 3 or 4 bedrooms, over the course of 40 or 50 years, they both contribute a roughly equivalent sum to their housing needs. But the first family own their house via a mortgage. Their wealth, the money that they have put in, becomes an asset for them of very great financial value, which they can then pass on to their children and perpetuate that privilege. The other family pay rent. The money that they spend, they never see again. There is something that is deeply strange, it seems to me, deeply unjust about that very fact. And there are many other ways in which our society benefits those who have to make sure that they continue to have in education and in all kinds of ways. Now, the defenders of slavery in the 18th and early 19th century argued that the economy of the United Kingdom depended on slavery. And it's true that this country was immeasurably enriched by the proceeds of slavery. And of course, that is not just historic, because that money was invested in all sorts of education and institution and the functions of our British society, and therefore has trickled down and diffused through our whole society. We continue today to earn the fruit of slavery from 200 and more years ago. How do we react as Christians to that? It's very hard to get rid of privilege. You can't undo what has been done in the past. But what you can do is to see how you use that privilege today. And I'm going to finish with the words of Jesus that he speaks in Luke chapter 12 and verse 48. And at the end of a conversation about that is leading to judgment, in a sense, he says this: "From everyone who has been given much, much will be demanded." From everyone who has been given much, and that certainly includes me, and it may well include you, much will be demanded. It isn't that we deny what we've been given, but that we make proper use of it, use that is just and righteous and godly, and seek that God will then bless us.